everybody. My name is Amy Stapleton. I'm the manager of bereavement services at the Chesapeake Life Center, Hospice of the Chesapeake. I'm also a licensed professional counselor. I'm here to talk with you just a little bit today about some of the challenges that we're feeling during this time of COVID-19. Something that we all know is very present in our world today is grief. Time and time again, we hear as we look at the news, read the newspaper, or maybe scroll through our news feed online, that people are indeed dying. Many of them members of the aging population. That is no doubt grief. And yet there may be other feelings that accompany this time that are also grief, that sometimes even go unnamed or unexpressed. I want to specifically say that today it is important that we not minimize the very real deaths that have occurred, especially the impact of COVID-19 on the aging population. We know the statistics. We know who is most vulnerable, and yet there comes a very real grief with that, of not knowing what the future holds, a fear that maybe many of you have faced around being unsure what's safe, or if you've been exposed, or how to keep yourself safe. And there's certainly, with this time, comes a loss of control, a loss of so much, a loss of choice around when and where to go to the grocery store, or a loss of being able to connect with others. So know that what you're feeling is real and valid. And especially for the aging population, this is not just something that shows up as a statistic, but this is something real and valid that many of you are encountering, and that we talk about here at the Chesapeake Life Center as grief. Two types of grief that I want to specify today and share a little more with you about are anticipatory grief and secondary losses. So anticipatory grief is when we anticipate a death or a transition or a loss, but we don't know when it's going to happen. And that can often lead us to kind of be in this heightened state of worry or fear and anxiety of imagining what's going to happen or what it would be like, but really not knowing. And that feels very true for us today as we navigate COVID-19. When's it going to end? What's it going to be like? What will this new normal be? How will things be different? Secondary losses that are very real and present to us these days are the losses beyond kind of a physical death or loss or transition. They're the ripple effect, if you will, that accompany a loss. And secondary losses sometimes get minimized because, it's not the original loss or death that we're grieving. It's the ones that accompany it. So these days during COVID-19, those secondary losses can really be big, like not being able to say goodbye to friends before they move, or not being able to help people when they're sick in our community, like we would traditionally bring over soup. They can also mean a loss of community, like not connecting with others for our weekly game night, or not being able to see family and friends like we had hoped. Those are very real losses, and we want to take time to acknowledge those. So what helps? First, as you think about coping with COVID-19, I would invite you to think about connecting with others. And that's more challenging these days. And yet so much is open to us in terms of technology. So there's ways in using computers and conference call lines and game nights on the computers now via Zoom. Lots of opportunities to connect with others. I just today read an article about a group at a senior center in New York that's doing a comedy class online. I thought that was such a great idea, just to be able to laugh together. So connecting with others however you can. It's still okay to write a note or a letter and put it in the mail. That does make a difference. The other thing that I personally find helpful is focusing on gratitude. Now, gratitude and grief is kind of a tricky thing. I wouldn't start off there, and certainly, people say to me all the time that I sit with in the counseling room after an incredible loss. They will say to me, I don't like the idea that I have to go through this to grow or be grateful. I'm certainly not saying that here today. And yet, I find time and time again, even when things are incredibly hard, that people can find something to be grateful for. So one of the practices that I often work with clients in using is kind of adapting the practice of journaling or even meditation or prayer if you're not comfortable writing it down. But thinking of 3 things every day that you're grateful for. And writing those down is always helpful, but if not, again, maybe thinking of them first thing when you wake up in the morning or last thing before bed. I like to think of it as something I'm thankful for, maybe something that surprised me during the day, something that brought me joy, and maybe even something that I need help with or that I felt help and support in navigating. So music, poetry, there are a lot of great guided imageries right now on YouTube, gentle yoga, lots of resources out there. So even when things are hard, please know that there's help. So thank you for taking the time today. I really want to, again, acknowledge all that you're feeling, all that you're experiencing in the world as we navigate COVID-19 together. And I'm grateful for you. Take good care.